Enclaves and exclaves are intriguing pieces of land shaped by political boundaries. An enclave is a piece of one country inside another country, with no land connection to its own country. In some cases, this piece of land is the entire country. An exclave is a part of a country that is separated from the rest of the country's territory but still has a land connection to its own country. Let me give you an example of both. So Vatican City is an example of an enclave. It is a landlocked independent city-state entirely surrounded by the city of Rome in Italy. An example of an exclave is the Kaliningrad Oblast. So Kaliningrad is a part of Russia that is geographically separated from the main territory. It is found between Poland and Lithuania on the Baltic Sea. It is not physically connected to the rest of Russia, making it an exclave. However, as the region has a coastline on the Baltic Sea, it is actually classed as a semi-enclave, as you can technically swim or sail a ship from the shores of this region northeast up the Baltic before arriving at St. Petersburg, Russia. If this is the first time you've heard of Kaliningrad, it may surprise you to learn that this slice of Russia actually exists. The fact that it is sandwiched in between two EU and NATO countries makes it rather interesting. But why is this the case? Why does Russia still own territory within its enemy's backyard? Well, the region known as Kaliningrad today once belonged to Germany. After World War II, it was ceded to the Soviet Union. Around 1 million people live in this area, where the absolute vast majority are of course Russian. The most interesting thing about this semi-exclave is this stretch of land where the borders of Poland and Russia meet. The eastern part of the split belongs to Kaliningrad and Russia, whereas the western part belongs to Poland. There is actually a 24-hour border guard separating the two. I wonder what would happen if you were to go onto the beach on, say, the Poland side and swim across to the Russian side. San Marino is very similar to Vatican City, in the fact that it is an enclave country and surrounded entirely by Italy. San Marino is found about 230 kilometers north of the Vatican, and although still absolutely tiny, it is much larger than Vatican City. About 33,000 people call San Marino home, compared to just 800 or so in Vatican City. San Marino is a country that is just 61 kilometers squared. For reference, this is about 18 times larger than New York City's Central Park. So far, we've named 2 of the 3 enclave countries that are completely surrounded by one other country. Can you name the third and final one? Here's a clue. It is found in Africa, South Africa specifically. That's right, the country of Lesotho is surrounded entirely by South Africa. At over 30,000 kilometers squared, it is significantly larger than the other 2 enclave countries, and at 2.3 million, its population is far greater too. Okay, so this is where it gets complicated. So what about the country of Monaco, yet another European microstate? Is that an enclave as it's surrounded by France? Well, just like Kaliningrad, which borders the sea, Monaco is classed as a semi-enclave, as it is fully surrounded by France to its northwestern side, but its east is on the Mediterranean Sea. As Monaco doesn't have any other territory, this rules it out of being a semi-exclave, just like Kaliningrad. There are 2 other semi-enclaves around the world. If you can guess them, I'd be unbelievably impressed. One is in Africa and the other Asia. So the former is the Gambia. It is completely surrounded by Senegal, apart from its west coast where it has coastline on the Atlantic. The Asian semi-enclave is Brunei, which is found on the island of Borneo and is completely surrounded by Malaysia. The northern part of the country has coastline on the South China Sea. But wait, hold on a moment, what is that? Well, Brunei actually consists of 2 semi-enclaves, which are connected by a bridge that runs across Malaysian waters. The Cabinda province is an exclave of Angola, found here just north of the country's main territory. The province is found north of the Congo River and is separated from the rest of Angola by the DR Congo. But why on earth does this exist? Well, it exists as a separate part of Angola because of old colonial decisions that created borders without considering geography and culture. Colonizers simply drew on a map who owned what. Alaska is by far the US's largest state at over 1.7 million kilometers squared, which, if its own country, would rank around the 16th largest on Earth. A fun fact about Alaska before we move on is that the US purchased it from Russia for $7.2 million in 1867. Adjusted for inflation, that's around $150 million today, an absolute bargain. But anyway, back to enclaves and exclaves. So although there is no universally agreed answer for this, most sources state that Alaska is an exclave, as it is physically separated from the rest of the US. Its territorial waters aren't contiguous with those of the contiguous US. To get there, you must either pass through international waters or Canadian territorial waters. So what about Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK but borders the Republic of Ireland, which is a separate country? Well, as Northern Ireland is only about 20 kilometers from Britain at the closest, this means you never leave the UK's territorial waters. So many people claim that Northern Ireland is a penny exclave. Penny exclaves are also known as functional or practical exclaves. Perhaps one of my most favourite enclaves / exclaves is Point Roberts in the US. So this is Point Roberts here. It is a town with just over 1,000 people living there. It is separated from the US by Canada, yet it stretches over the border between the two countries. By definition, this makes it an exclave, or a penny exclave to be precise. The drive from Point Roberts to the town of Blaine in Washington is around 40 minutes. The border in this little town is the westernmost in the contiguous US. The messiest enclave / exclave situation has to be here in the Netherlands. Baarle, Nassau is a very unique and complex town found in the southern part of the Netherlands, near the border with Belgium. What makes this situation so extraordinary is that it consists of 22 small pieces of Dutch territory, where there are enclaves scattered within the Belgian division of Baarle-Hertog, to which there are also 8 Belgian enclaves within Baarle-Nassau. These enclaves are counter-enclaves as a result of historical border disputes and treaties between the two countries. Something that's always fascinated me is embassies. They are technically little slices of a different country found in another country. But are embassies enclaves? Well, from a geographical land perspective, yes, but politics overrides this. Diplomatic missions like embassies and consulates as well as military bases are usually not subject to the laws of the host country where they are found. This special status is called extraterritoriality. There is a bit of a myth that airports kind of behave in this way too, and that they are duty-free because they are effectively in no man's land, belonging to no country. However, this isn't the case. Duty-free exists so that the traveller does not have to pay tax twice on their purchases. Airports are absolutely part of the country that they are found in. Their laws and rules apply to everyone within them. So there we have it, some interesting, complex and bizarre enclaves and exclaves explained. If you know of any others, please do let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, of course feel free to drop a like, and as always, thank you very much for watching.